So this story starts when my old friend the Gun Geek makes a video about 380/200 military issue cartridges for the British service revolver. And I seen the video, seen it was some interesting old ammo and the original packaging. And he's waving around his pistol that he was issued when he was in the Canadian SAS and talking about the ammo and that. So I said to myself, I got my collection. I got 3 different bullet molds, and I did some work with these guns and did work with that cartridge. With 380 is the bullet diameter and 200 is the weight of the bullet. And it was made for the British 38 caliber revolvers they used in World War II. Okay, so I said, you know what? I was fooling around. I had one. I picked up a second one. So I said, let me dig out the collection and maybe I can make some videos and take some of these guns out. I haven't shot them in years. I got the material laying around. I might as well do it. So thanks to the Gun Geek. And oh, by the way, I will put a link to his video. That video would start in the description box here. Alright, so 38, or this cartridge, which is designated the 380/200, is actually a 38 Smith & Wesson with a very heavy bullet in it. And there was a load made in the U.S. called the Super Police, Colt Super Police. And I do have that bullet here, but more about that. So let's review my collection. The first one I bought this revolver. It's an Enfield No. 2 Mark 1, and it's got a date of 1939. Now I bought this revolver from a guy at a gun show. He said it was reworked and that. We'll take a closer look at it. And mine have the bobbed hammer. Okay. I don't know if they converted these, if they came with a spur hammer like the one the Gun Geek has, and then they went and put this other hammer on there. Not quite sure. Then I went to an estate auction and I picked up another Enfield No. 2 Mark 1. This one has a little wear. 1941, this particular example was made. And I had it in a holster, it started to rust. So both of them are matching and in good shape. Then when I was searching around, trying to find different ones, I get a lot of these on online auctions. And as you know, the price can get a little strange. Well, while on the gun broker, I have this Webley. And this is a Webley Mark IV 38. And it has BNP on there. Webley and Scott, made in England. Now I believe this one was a later made police revolver. I'm not quite sure what country these came out of, and it does have an importation mark on it, but we'll look at these closer in a little bit. Then again, another auction find. I used to go to these little auctions, that this guy had all these. He'd have a gun auction and that about once every 4 months. And you don't really see them anymore, but I went to an auction and I got this. This is Smith & Wesson. It isn't marked. They were called like the Victory models. It's an old Smith. But this one is unusual. The ones that the British ordered did have certain markings on it, where this one is made in the USA and it says 38 Smith & Wesson cartridge. Now, like I told you, Smith & Wesson did make their revolvers in the 38. It's a little bit of a different bullet diameter. And I took this out and fired it with these cartridges, and I believe they worked. I'm not sure. We'll run the tests again. And this here, this little gem is a Spanish copy of the Smith's brake top. This one was Ibar, 1924 Spain. Now these guns also are designated. It'd be a 380 something or other. I'm not quite sure if this was made for 38 Smith & Wesson or not, but I have some, lighter bullets, 150 grains. I ain't gonna fire the 200s in this. And we'll take this thing out just to shoot a 38 Smith & Wesson load in it. So we'll come in, we'll take a closer look at the guns. Alright, first up is my number 2 Mark I 1939. I bought this pistol from a gun dealer years ago just so I had something that I can work with the cartridge. Caliber 38, there's several stampings. He said this gun was reworked. And this one, has that round washer and the grip. And that, I'm not gonna pop this open because this one's pretty stiff, this action. But this is what I use to test the ammo with. And it has the double action only hammer. Now, I believe this one may have had a spur hammer like the Gun Geeks, but they went and they would modify these to have this double action only hammer. Okay, so that's the first one I had. This one's in fairly good shape. I believe it's been refinished. But then I went to an auction and I got this Enfield No. 2 Mark I. And this one has not been refinished. The finish is worn on it, but you can see the stampings and markings very clearly. With this one you can't. You can't really see them that easily because that's why he must have said it was refinished. And this one here, just your standard Enfield pistol. I've never fired this one. I bought this one at an estate auction a while back, and I have not fired it. What I was gonna do is fire them and see which one shot better, was in better shape, and probably get rid of one of them. Even though the finish is worn on this, there's the markings are very clear on this revolver when you look at the top strap and that, and on the side here of the barrel. I can see these. So this is the second one. Like I said, we haven't fired it, but we will here soon. And then when trying to collect these and looking for different variations, now the Enfields, they're not marked Webley. Okay, when it comes to Webleys, I was looking for one and I found this here. And this, I believe, is a post-war law enforcement gun. Okay, this one's marked on the top. Webley and Scott, made in England, on the top of the frame here. The markings on it, the serial number is down here on the slide. We're on the military ones. The Enfields are over in this area. Your proof marks are there. It gives you your proof marks and all the other stuff. This one's in pretty excellent shape. It does have an import mark on it. And the only other markings I see on here which are different is, I believe it's BMP with a crown, or BNP with a crown. And you have Webley on the grips. This is actually a nice gun, and as you can see, it's got a shorter barrel length than the standard issue pistols. I'm going to get that here. We'll do it like this. Got a bit of a shorter barrel length, I'd say about an inch, inch and a half. So it's kind of a handy size gun. I like shooting this gun. This gun's kind of fun to shoot. And this has, so you could go single action or double action with this, which is nice. Then we go on to this oddball Smith & Wesson. Now this here is a Smith. It says made in the USA. I don't know if that was the standard markings, because this is like in the Victory class. And it is marked 38 Smith & Wesson. Has the proper scroll on the top and on the barrel. And when looking at the serial number, it doesn't have a V on it, where the Victory models did. What is that down there? WB and a flaming ball on here. So for all you experts out there, WB, flaming ball, and I think a little P. So I don't know. I don't know if this was US issued or not, just US issued in 38 Smith & Wesson, which could be. This was not, I don't believe, sent to England in the Lend-Lease. But it's a curious gun. I did a little research on it, but never did much else. And I think I fired this with the heavy 200 grain bullets also. So we don't know. We'll get into this and have this to test some ammo as like a test platform, something outside of the British guns. And also along those lines, I bought this pistol, which is a Spanish copy of the Smith & Wessons. And this is pretty common. You see a lot of these with the lion and the crown. And it's dated 1924. It's one of the higher quality Spanish imports that came in, basically to copy the Smiths. And this one here, we'll try this in the 38 Smith & Wesson. Like I said, I may slug that barrel just for the hell of it, because these handguns, a lot of these foreign-made guns were in that same kind of designation, 380 something or other. This just has C38 stamped on it. But I'm not quite sure what the groove diameter is on this, but we'll try that with some 38 Smith & Wesson cartridges to see how this shoots. And I don't know if I fired this or not. I may have not fired this gun at all, so it's another new one. So let's look at some of the bullets and cases, and I'll make some more videos when we get into detail on it, but that's the guns we're going to use. And now let's look at some of the bullets and the cases and that to reload for it. Alright, for those of you who are not familiar with the difference between the 38 Smith & Wesson, which are these cases here, and this is the 38 Super Police, which is the 38 Smith & Wesson loaded with a 200 grain bullet. Now if you take the standard 38 Special, you notice that there is a huge difference in the case length. Okay? Very big difference in the length of the case itself. Also, 38 Special bullets are 357 diameter, where the ones for the 38 Smith & Wesson are 362 diameter. It has a bigger diameter bullet. And I think it's an older cartridge, so that's why they never really lengthened it, okay? But Smith & Wesson did make guns in this caliber later on. Henceforth, the designation 38 Smith & Wesson. There are 38 Colts and other obsolete cartridges that have gone by the wayside, but that's it. So the bullets I have 3 bullet molds from NOE. I have this is about a 150 grain bullet. And another thing, it'd be hard to find bullets much, the standard load was a 158 grain bullet, which is this here, for his standard police load for years. I believe you could get 200 grain bullets and custom molds for the 38, like 357. But, well, these are all custom molds too, so. But I don't know, it'd be hard to find. 38 usually maxes out about 158 grains. The standard load for the 38 Smith & Wesson would be like this 150 grain bullet here. That was kind of the standard load for that. I think they even went down as low as 125 or something. I can't quite remember. But because the guns that we have are designed to use these heavier 200 grain bullets, I'm not going to kind of get into it. I only have the one break top. I never did get a lemon squeezer or some sort of 38 Smith & Wesson turn of the century revolver, other than that Spanish one. So we'll try shooting this 150 grain bullet in a Spanish gun. I believe I developed the load for this. Now the difference between this one here and this bullet is the Super Police is a round nose bullet. I do have the mold for this. I never used it. What I did is I bought some of these bullets ready cast, like a few hundred or 500 of them, and then I tried them out, liked them, and bought the bullet mold. And I believe I also bought some of these already cast and did get the bullet mold and did use this mold. And now this is what I was telling the gun geek, that this particular bullet here, and it does come out a little over 200, it's like 205 grains. This is more shaped kind of like the military load. And this is what I use when I used to load it for 380/200, the round. Okay, which this one here is just a different bullet. It's basically the same thing as a 300/280, but it's also this roundish bullet. It's called, and it was marketed as the Super Police bullet. Now, that revolver I have could just be a revolver that Smith & Wesson made. Like I said, both, they would make revolvers into 2 different calibers. 38 Smith & Wesson and 38 Special. But as you can see, 2 different types of ammunition. Where the Smith & Wesson by World War II fell by the wayside, and the 38 Special for over 100 years was the standard police cartridge. So that's the ammo, and the brass I'm using, Starline did make this brass here. So I got some Starline brass, and this used to be kind of hard to find, 38 Smith & Wesson, because not a lot of modern guns use it, where 38 Special was king, but I bought a bunch of it from Starline when they were making it. I'm not sure. You can go check and see if they do or are producing it. But there you go, guys. That's it in a nutshell. Looks like I gotta cast some bullets and lube and size them and go over my load data and reload some more of these, and then we'll take those guns out and give them a whirl and test out the ammo and see how it works. Alright, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.